Hello and good afternoon. Um, First and foremost, I'm Jessica Rios, and I will just like to say I'm coming on live to talk about some things that I feel that wasn't really truly uncovered. Um, and when you talk about a subject, I feel like it is best that you point on the main thing that make you begin to start that something that you're doing. And what I'm talking about is sex. So sex and lusting and conversations. And what people are not really pointing out is that you must begin to have a conversation with a person. And once you have that conversation with a person, you're building a relationship with that person, whether you know it or not. If that conversation is not about God and the scriptures in the Bible, then you're basically having a conversation to get to know one another. And when you begin to get to know one another, then you begin to have feelings for that person, or that person begins to have feelings for you. And sometimes the feelings don't be mutual, but sometimes they end up that way because no one is really talking about the Bible. They're talking about the things that they want to talk about, what their flesh wants to talk about. And I'm here to say that if you guys are not having a real godly conversation, then things can happen. I am a victim of just go ahead and say it. I'm a victim of of the same thing, having a conversation with a person and not really knowing that person, and that person begins to date rape you. And sometimes it's not even date rape because you're not having a date with a person in your mind, but in actuality that person feels like maybe it is. And sometimes you can send mixed signals when you're having a conversation with an individual and you're not really having that mutual feeling towards that person. So number one, you have to be very careful and very mindful of the things that you conversate with a person, whether it's a guy or a girl, because people do interpret things in their own way, in their perspective, and then things happen. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is having sex with individuals. Of course, you have soul ties, and you get things that actually happen to you spiritually because you actually had sex with that person. And you must know that you have to nip things in the butt before it gets worse than what it is. Sometimes you can see the signs of a person and their actions that shows you that it's going to lead to sex, or it's going to lead to something that you're not really going to agree with. And sometimes you may agree with it, and maybe sometimes it's just not you in your own mind that's agreeing to it, but it's your flesh that actually urges and wants it. And I know because I'm a living witness of it. I don't fake the funk. I don't, lie about the things that I experienced and that I went through. It is what it is. So with you, you have to know that you don't want this. You don't want that for yourself. You don't want that for your life. You don't want that for the sake of it's not right, especially when you're trying to be in Christ or Christ-like. You have to understand that things do happen if you don't nip it in the butt right there and then. Sometimes you kiss a person on the cheek, and then that kiss on the cheek, a person play those games where they turn their cheek and then they turn around and kiss you. I've had that happen to me in the past where guys done that to me, and I felt like you laugh about it, but then sometimes a part of you didn't feel so okay about it. You have to nip those things in the butt. You can't just laugh about it and you know that you didn't agree with it. You have to discipline a person and show a person, hey, I did not agree on these terms. I did not agree to this. This was very wrong of you. This is foul. This is not right. Stuff like that. You don't agree with it. So when you don't agree with something, you make sure that you nip it in the butt right there and then. A lot of people just talks about, one night stands and having one night stands with a person. Sometimes that one night stand can be from you leading a person on in a conversation that you once had. That one night stand can be led by you meeting the person and the person getting the wrong impression of you, and by you being intoxicated, and most definitely while you're on drugs. It's not always when a person is sober, because I do understand from a person a former drug user who used to smoke weed and used to drink liquor and wine, and I do understand sometimes when we're under the influence our flesh wants what our flesh wants. We want what feels good. We want it, and we want it now. You don't think about the consequences of what can happen, what might happen if it does happen. You just thinking about that moment in time and the now that you want to feel good. And at the end of the day, reality is reality. Once that high come down, once that drunkenness goes away, reality is the reality that you lived, and you had partake in the situation of things being done to you that you did not agree with. So you know, you have to live up to that when you don't nip it in the butt right there and then. You know that sometimes you have to put yourself on a limit. Hey, I know I get messed up when I have about 3 drinks, so therefore you put yourself on a 1 drink limit. Oh, I'm just going to have 1 drink. But sometimes you have that friend that amp you up and say, oh, girl, come on, I got you, girl, drink another one, and it's not really what you want, but then you still partake in it and still trying to be of your friends and have a good time when your friends can handle 3 to 4 drinks, but you can't. So you have to understand when to nip things in the butt right there and then. Do not continually going on pushing yourself to be of somebody, to have someone's approval. You need the approval of yourself to know that, to cherish yourself, not to worship yourself, but to cherish yourself and know your self-worth. So once you know your self-worth, then you begin to nip things in the butt right there and then. Like, I had a friend guy, he had a conversation with me, and it was like, oh, I want to go to a hotel, I'm very lonely, and this is my walk in Christ, that I have now began to actually walk in Christ and get to know Christ and actually be about Christ and his business instead of being in my own flesh, having sex and masturbating. I don't do any of that. So I can actually come to you and I can actually talk about it because I'm a living witness of what happened when it happened. But the friend was saying, what they wanted to do. And I was like, hey, well, go to a hotel. Go ahead and go to that hotel. Take some time for yourself. No, me? No, I'm okay. That's not something that I do anymore. I'm in Christ right now. This is my new walk. I don't do any of that. I don't drink and I don't smoke and I don't do none of that. And we even had a conversation where he was like, oh, well, you're misleading me because. And I was like, that was my past self. You're talking about me when I used to drink. You're talking about me when I used to smoke. I was high. I can't remember what I told you then. I can't remember when I was doing this. That's when I was high. And you have to understand the difference when people are not going to accept you, because now my friend list is like 0. People are not going to accept you in your Christ-like walk when you're actually purifying yourself to become better as a person and an individual. Once you know your self-worth, people are going to start despising you because now you know. But all while you were in ignorance, it was okay. You were down for it because you didn't have the knowledge or that self-worth in yourself to know the difference, to nip it in the butt. But now that you know the difference, you're going to be hated. And watch what I tell you, you're going to be hated. When those people call you and say, hey, let's go out. And, I'm ready to drink. I got the weed. You say, no, that's okay. I'll pass. You're going to start to be hated. And you're going to start to be hated. They're going to hate on you because they're going to feel, oh, she thinks she's better. Oh, now that you don't drink, you don't smoke, you think you better than us. And now you think you so Christ-like. Yes, I don't think that I'm better than you, but yes, I am better. Yes, I have learned my self-worth. Yes, I am doing better for myself. It ain't for you. Because if it was for you, then I'll be with you and still doing the things that I used to do. So once you know the ins and out of it, you begin to grow in a way that is unexplainable and is in perfect alignment with where you need to be and on the path that you need to go. And that is to do better. For one, you don't have sex with people that you don't know. For 2, you just don't have sex at all, especially if there's no ring on this finger. You just don't partake in things that is not beneficial to the flesh or the soul or the spirit. And sometimes you have to fight against your flesh because sometimes your flesh does want it, where sometimes you'll be even attacked in dreams. You'll be attacked in all types of ways, shapes, and forms, where even a guy will find you attractive out of the blue, and then you'll be like, oh, Lord, what is this? You have to come against those things. And even when they come and say, hey, can I get to know you? Can I get to know you? Can I get your number? Sometimes you have to know to pass those people up. And, it may be your husband. If it's your husband, you will know. But when it comes down to your own flesh, will and want, you're like, whatever, sure, you can get my number, yeah, we can talk. But then those conversations turn into something that you allowed to be misunderstood. Those conversations will cause you to end up in a predicament that you didn't really intend for it to happen. Sometimes you may end up with a baby. Sometimes you may end up with a STD. Sometimes you may end up with abusive things from this person, outlashes, or it can be verbal or physical abuse. Like, it's things that you really don't want to okay into your life just by having that conversation. And sometimes you just have to say, no, I'm okay, I'll pass. Thank you. It was nice knowing you. Right there and then. Not on the phone when the person says something that you don't like. It's when the person gets up close to you and they have that encounterment with you, then it's when you know. But don't allow it to go that far. Sometimes when you meet a person, you know right there and then if it's a person that you want to know, get to know, or have in your life. And sometimes a lot of them don't. You just be wanting friends and try to build your friend up just in case one don't work out and you have another one to rely on. But rely on Jesus. Rely on what he can do for you, because in my walk with Christ and where I am right now, I have no person, not one person that is using me, not one person that is taking advantage of me right now. And it's all by me walking in my Christ. Like, even when I had those old friends that used to do little things for me, they won't even give me a dime. They don't even give me a piece of a dime or dollar or quarter. Just because now I'm in my Christ-like walk and they feel like, oh, let the God do it for you. But God have moved for me in abundance of ways, and I'm a living testimony on it. Like, I cannot say God have not. That man did not provide and man did not do. And he also tells you not to rely on man, but to rely on him. So I'm here to encourage you all, whoever needed this message, do not fall short of the glory of God, of yourself, of your self-worth. Do not put yourself down or lower your standards for someone else's gain. So until then, have a great day.